Tana. It's wonderful to be part and parcel of this wonderful forum again. And we know that we are here because somehow God designed that we can be able to, at this particular moment, just learn and grow together. And today I'm going to speak about the future of work. And I'm going to share my screen in a bit. So I hope you're able to see my screen. Are you able to see my presentation, Billups?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah, so today we want to talk about navigating the future of work. We know that in matters of the future of work, it's actually not about the youth only. It's also about those of us who are already working, those who are in one way or the other, involved in one way or the other in the world of productive work. And we want to see the trends that are going to shape this approach and how we can also plug in and also grow in relation to the future of work. Simply defined, the future of work is just looking at how the nature of work will change in the next few years and also moving into the future. And the nature of work changes with the nature of technological and societal transformations. So when there's a change in a society, then you'll also see a change in the workplace aligned to those changes in the society. And one good example is what we call telecommuting. We know that long time ago, in the last few years again, people used to work from at a particular place within a particular time. So it was 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 at a particular office setting. But because of what has been happening at the advent of telecommuting, then people are able to work from anywhere and everywhere. So when you look at it in terms of space and time, so the spaces you can now work from anywhere, then time you can work at any time. So it is whenever and wherever. So that is one of the transformation that has been happening in the future of work. But then also now looking at the technological transformations that have been taking shape over the last 2 or so years again, and the rate at which technology is outpacing social transformations, then we are aware of one thing, that a lot of what we are doing today and calling it work can actually be automated and done well through technology and AI. And that's a reality even now. And now, if we begin looking at the future of work, then you realize that there's one thing that is also happening. AI and automation are making it difficult even for young people to gain what we call entry-level work. Because if you look at how the curriculum in colleges and universities was designed, it was designed for a world without AI. So right now, once in a while, some universities are chipping in something on AI within their course offerings. Then some universities are chipping in technology, but the core of the courses that we are currently undertaking, they were designed before the age of AI. So what does it mean? What it means is that now, when you're moving from a learning institution to the place of work, so the place of work is being rapidly transformed by AI, but the place of learning is not rapidly transforming in relation to AI. So what is happening is that we have graduates who are knowledgeable, transitioning to the work space that has already changed. So I will give an example. Imagine auditioning for a play that has been cancelled. So when you are learning in the university and in college, it's like you're auditioning to be part of a play set. But then by the time you are through with auditioning, the play set has been cancelled. So it means we have been preparing ourselves to work in an environment that has already changed in relation to the skills and competencies that we are bringing into the workspace. So what does it mean? It then means that the role of reskilling ourselves and retooling ourselves is not about the university or the college or your employer, but you as an individual. So you are then required to take what we call the initiative to retool and reskill yourself so that you can now fit into what we call the dynamic job market. And even the nature of work itself is again changing. So the traditional roles are also disappearing, and we will see in a while. So, what do we need to prepare ourselves? One, we need to understand that there are two things that are shaping the future of work. One of it is AI and automation. Then the other side is what we call sustainability concerns and geopolitics. So those two things are playing, and they're playing together. So all of them have arrived at the same time. They need to reshape how we think, but they also need to enable us look at them as opportunities. So technology will augment almost every existing role. So the idea is that technology is not taking work away, but technology is changing the nature of work. So that's one thing that you need to put into consideration. That technology will not take your job away, but it is changing the nature of what you desire to do. So what do we need to do? Now we need to upskill so that our competencies and the choices that we make are in line with the transformations that will take place in the places of work. And then number two, because of sustainability and the issue of geopolitics, globalization, millions of jobs are emerging so that we can transition into a clean energy world. That is in the area of sustainability. But also because of globalization, we are not going outside to look for work, but work is coming to our homes. So those are also opportunities. And when the nature of work comes to our homes is that you are able to work from your bedroom for a company in Japan instead of flying to Japan to work for that company in Japan. So that's also what is happening. So now bring these two together, then workers must adapt to both forces simultaneously. So you need to adapt to AI and automation on one side, then also adapt to sustainability, those are climate concerns, and geopolitics, that is globalization, at the same time. What does that one create? It creates opportunities. But then also, we also have to be cognizant of what is happening again in the world of work again. Now, McKinsey have done a research and they're saying that over 50% of organizations that are already working in the era of AI, those who are already adopting AI, they have reduced entry-level positions by 50%. What does it mean? It means the entry-level positions that were there before those organizations adapted to AI, those entry-level positions are not there. So what do we do? Now that there are no entry-level positions and they are reducing because automation and AI is taking place and are taking over, then we need to aggressively adapt. And what does that one mean? We need to bypass what we used to refer as the entry-level requirements for work. So we need to position ourselves as young people and even people who are already within the work setting so that we're not demonstrating skills for entry level, but you're demonstrating higher order critical thinking and AI orchestration skills. And what does it mean? Now, what does it mean to orchestrate AI? So, if you have ever attended a music festival, there's usually that choir conductor who doesn't sing, yet is part and parcel of the choir. So his role is to conduct the choir. So the choir will watch the movement of his hands, then they will do and change the their singing in relation to what the orchestrator is doing. So now in AI orchestration is that you as an individual, as a person, you are learning the skills needed to work with AI. So that now AI does the entry level work, whatever organization used to hire for, as you concentrate on critical thinking and higher order skills of work. What will happen if we don't do that? If you're not able to do that, then then the world will overtake us. They
Hello, Kamonde.
can be aggressively displaced by automation if we are not able to adapt.
Hello, Kamonde.
Phillips,
Yeah,
are
you
you
are
able to hear me?
Yeah, you are breaking. Maybe you can switch off the
Phillips, are you able
video
to hear
one.
me? Hello, Phillips.
Yes, we can hear you,
All
except
right, so let
you,
me
you're,
switch.
you yeah, yeah, okay.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, and then you can share the screen now.
All right. I hope now the screen is now visible.
It's coming. Yes, it's okay.
All right. Yeah. So what do we need to do as young people and also people who are already working? One is to recognize that number one, there's a severe mismatch that we must bridge. So the Federation of Kenyan Employers uh, already recognize that there are many graduates who are coming out of universities and colleges and graduating every year, but the skills that the market requires in relation to their training, there's a mismatch. So what do we need to do? We need to enter into a cycle of reskilling. So we need now to ask ourselves that we are through with our academic learning, or even while we are still doing academic learning, then we need to adapt by looking for the necessary skills that will enable us fit into the reality of the job market. Then these are some of the things that we need also to understand. The paradigm again is shifting. So at the place of work, if we look at how millennials used to work and the generations before millennials, they will enter into an organization and leave at retirement. Then there's a linear growth scale. So it's like a ladder. So they are climbing the corporate ladder. So the idea is that for them to be at the very top, so they work hard for many years to be at the very top. But what is changing now? Right now, people are focusing on what you call professional portfolio career. So you're building a portfolio within a very short period of time, then you enter into that work area and be able to deliver. Then while you are in that work area, your antennas are already outside again. You're looking for changes in the market, then you begin preparing for the changes in the market again. So you constant reskilling becomes the way forward. Then number two, the old way, people used to focus on the degrees. Who was the most number of degrees? So, how many bachelors do you have? Masters, PhD? So, the significance was measured according to the papers that you have. But right now, the papers are not of interest to employers. The employers are looking for skill-based proof of value. These are the portfolios. So do you have these hard skills? Do you have these soft skills? Do you have these meta skills? Do you have a history where you can and experience, and within that experience you build a portfolio? So that's what they are looking for. What again is changing? The roles are also changing. So in the old system that is coming to an end, we are still in it, but it's coming to an end. So the roles were a specific set of job descriptions. So you are hired, given a JD, you work within your JD, then you're promoted to another level, you work within the JD of the position that you promoted to. Then what is changing now? you are becoming an AI orchestrator and critical thinker. So your mandate is beyond your JD. You orchestrate transformations and changes beyond your work definition. Then also the issue of identity. So people used to be identified by the job title. So it was about the title. I am this. I am the senior director of finance. I am the what and what of this. But now what is changing? The identity is shifting to adaptability and problem solving. So that's the identity that we are looking at in terms of job transformations. Again, we also need to understand that as these changes come into play again, then what are these things that will anchor us so that we are able to focus on what is coming in a way that we are anchored well? So there are modern structural shifts that are not, nobody thought that they will come, but they are coming. But what is important is to realize that God knew that these changes were coming. So in the area of green skills and clean energy, we know that there's a divine mandate for us. God wants us to take care of the environment and have dominion over what He created. So it aligns again with the changes that are happening in the area of climate, adaptation, resilience, clean energy, and the green skills that we require. So what do we need to do? We need to understand that the modern renewable energy is the original mandate of God, taking care of the environment, and that is reshaping the work area. Again, another thing, what do we think about it? The end of linear ladder, so the growth trajectories in careers. So people used to think growth is lateral, but we understand that that growth is just vertical, but we understand that growth can also be moving across sectors, moving across work groups. So the important thing for us to do is to renew our mind and understand that there will always be constant changes. Whatever is the current today will not be current in future. Then we're also moving from being doers, that is implementers, to what we call technology orchestrators. We're going to work with technology to accomplish the purpose that God has for us in the workplace. Finally, let's look at the three skills that are very important, and I'll be listing some of them. One, at this age, you cannot miss to develop your technical and technological skills at this age. It doesn't matter which industry you're in, whether you are in fashion and design, whether you are in politics, whether you are in business, whether you are in environment, whether you are in audits and finance, you cannot fail to develop your digital literacy skills. And the most important digital literacy skills that are needed, one is AI fluency. Are you able to work with AI? Everybody needs to be what we call, everybody needs to be an AI prompt engineer. So an AI prompt engineer simply is understanding the language of AI so that you can work with AI well. So that is one of the things that we need. Then you also need data literacy. We are moving away from opinion-based decision making to data-informed decision making. So everyone needs skills in data literacy. Data is what will help you understand that you have impacted, you have made some impact in your work area. Then another group of skills that we need is what we call the human skills. Now, even though AI and technology are advanced, at this age, they're not able to replace the things that are fully human. Emotional intelligence skills are very, very important. And even when you become a manager, when God gives you the opportunity to become a people leader, people manager, then empathy-driven management is a skill that we require. Not just management or any other skill, but empathy-driven management skills. Again, also complex problem-solving skills. And I know Billups might have taken us already through human design, through human-centered design. If we haven't gone through, I know there'll be a time for that. So complex problem solving skills are also very important. So people are not looking for workers, people are looking for problem solvers. Are you able to solve a problem? Now, in the emerging digital economy, what is happening is that money is flowing to where problem solvers are. Then the third type of skills that we need to develop and possess is what we call the meta skills. Now, the meta skills are a transition between hard and soft skills. And the two very essential meta skills that everyone must have is what we call adaptability and learnability. Now, adaptability is being fluid in such a way that you quickly adopt to changes as they happen. So you're not waiting at the fence to see what is happening, then you choose whether to follow or not to follow. So it's about adaptability. You quickly pivot. Then the other skill the skill of learnability. So the ability to learn quickly. Important skills of learning is learning to forget some of the experiences and skills that you might have built over many years. So the ability to forget that those skills are not important now and learn new skills. Now, how do we navigate as the changes are happening? One is find strength by committing your plans to God. As changes are happening, God is in control. And even as changes happen in the social sector, then when you are anchored in that, then you know you can do anything. You can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. But as you do that, this is also very important for us to have. So be curious, crawling the social media spaces, spend some time learning something because right now there's what we call the micro learning. So you're able to learn in small bits or social learning. You're able to learn skills bit by bit. Give yourself periods of 90 days, 90-day cycle to sharpen a skill. Then you set another 90 days again. Then you sharpen another skill. Then 90 days, then you sharpen another skill. So always be curious, adaptable, and responsible. But as you do that, center everything on what we call human-centered thinking. So think about the problems that the skills you're learning will solve. Then that is where value will come out of. So now for the young people again, what is very important? Let us understand that the future of work is not here to disrupt us so that we cannot succeed, but it is giving us an opportunity to be able to scale by aligning our skills, the skills that we require, to the market that is coming. So for instance, if you're beginning first year in university today, ask yourself, what are the skills? What are the core competencies? What are the attitudes that will be required by the time I am ripe for the job market? Then you begin developing them today so that by the time you're graduating with a portfolio of proven skills and competencies. Use micro projects, even when you're at the university or when you are at home. Uh, Use what we call the micro projects. Identify a problem, then design a project, design a solution, then build a portfolio around it. Then develop a personal brand. Identify a niche within the changes that are coming. Then position yourself in that niche. Learn everything that you need to learn about that niche area, then scale from that niche. Now, that niche may not even be related to what you are learning at the university, but it may be related to the solutions that you want to bring to the market. And as you do that, you're already building a portfolio that will be very important as you are transitioning into the job market. And then looking at also the blue economy sector, the blue collar sector. So the reality is this. not everyone who is in college or university today will transition into a white collar job. And by the way, the blue collar sector has more money than the white collar sector. The blue collar sector has more money than the white collar sector. I give a simple example in the blue collar area. Like most plumbers make more money than people who work in offices because of the nature of the skills that they have and the scarcity of those skills. So as you're looking into the future of work, think around what is changing in the blue sector, the blue collar sector. One is as we are adopting what we call the green technologies, like electronic vehicles, solar energy. So what are those skills that are needed to sustain these changes? We now need EV, that is electrical vehicle technicians, and solar panel technicians more than we need traditional mechanics in the future. Think about the people who are doing basic repair. Right now, there are drones, there are smartphones, there's an area that we call the Internet of Things, where where technology AI is able to be integrated with sensors. So there are people who need to maintain those systems. There are people who need to code for those systems, maintain those systems, repair those systems. So as you are looking for the skills to learn, then you're saying, I'm not just going to learn these basic repair skills, but I'm going to learn skills of how to repair drones, how to repair this and this. Then the world is again changing. When we began, we said that the job market is coming to your bedroom. It's coming to your home. So what do you need to do? Leverage on digital platforms and join what we call the gig economy if you're able to. So a long time ago, we used to focus on moving from one economy to the other. That is what we call the skill migrants. But now it is a job that is coming to the people who are skilled. So instead of looking for job elsewhere, so you only need to identify the platforms and the skills that they require. Then you leverage and pivot to those skills and those platforms. So global digital freelancing, there are tools such as Jira, Upwork, Freelancer, and many others, where hundreds and thousands of jobs are posted daily. And you can be able to learn the skills offering. What skills do they require? Then you set up a way in which you can learn those skills quickly. And there are also platforms to learn those skills. That is also the beauty. And then as you learn those skills, then you begin leveraging into that sector while building a personal brand. So the global green and digital trends do not erase the informal sector. They are coming to change how the informal sector will operate. Those who are already working, we need to reposition, but not to abandon our past. We need to reposition. So for instance, if I'm working in HR, if I was a HR strategic business partner, I can say you're bringing the element of data analytics. So if I was an auditor, you're not saying that you abandon your role as an auditor. You're now saying I'm an auditor, but I'm going to shift. I'm an auditor who focuses on financial intelligence and fraud analytics. So you're building a brand and transitioning your skills into an area that is a niche area that is required by the upcoming job market. Then what do we need to do as we reskill? Do not attempt to learn everything. Identify a focus area, identify the minimal viable skills that are required to do that role, then set your time. Give yourself 90 days to have learned those skills. Then you can use those skills in your place of work. Then, as you learn those skills, apply them immediately in your area of work, then build a portfolio. Develop concepts, develop models, document them well. Then as you do that, then you'll be able to bring value into the world of work. And finally, even as you look at what James 1:5 is saying in relation to Ecclesiastes 9:10, what you're getting out of all this as we paraphrase and compare those two verses with the world of AI, and then we learn that in an AI-driven world, human value lies in solving complex problems. So as you move out of this place, know that you are a problem solver. So be it issues of climate change, be it food security, be it healthcare, be it finance, any area that you are in. So what you need to ask yourself is, what problem am I solving? Because money follows problems. The future belongs to those who utilize learnability and digital tools to solve problems. And how does solving problems look like? There are problems everywhere. Every sector has problems. So your role is to think around, what solution can I bring into this sector? Then that is where the value lies. So I don't have much more. I'll open to questions, and thank you for listening in. Thank you for being part and parcel of this wonderful talk. Back to Billups.
Wow, thank you, Kamonde. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Uh, Kindly prepare your questions. As you do that, let me play a video as you prepare your questions. We still have some few minutes.
Combined with a global recession, led workers to lose their jobs at an COVID-19 is one of the biggest crises of our time. It has impacted every single one of us, shaken our social systems, and disrupted every sector of our economies. The automation of work, combined with a global recession, led workers to lose their jobs at an accelerated pace compared to previous years. And this trend is expected to continue. The ongoing shift in the division of labor between humans, machines, and algorithms might displace 85 million jobs worldwide in the next 5 years, while 97 million new roles, ones that are more adapted to this new task distribution, may emerge. By 2025, companies expect to displace roughly 6% of their total workforce. 1 in 2 workers will need reskilling, and those remaining in their current roles will need to update 40% of their skill set to adapt to the changing labor market. There is a way to collectively benefit from these challenging times. Decades of research have shown that the most valuable asset of any economy or company is its human capital. Around the globe, companies are already experiencing a shortage in relevant skills for future roles and are investing in reskilling and upskilling their workforce. By 2025, organizations say they will train over 70% of their employees to ensure they can smoothly transition into the jobs of tomorrow. These include DevOps engineers, artificial intelligence specialists, digital marketing managers, talent acquisition specialists, and customer success specialists. It will take on average between 2 weeks and 5 months for workers to pick up new skills, allowing them to move into these new roles. But data shows they won't need to have the perfect skill set to start transitioning. While 2/3 of employers expect to get a return on investment in employees' reskilling programs within just 1 year, governments will also need to step in to update and fund education and training systems, and to ensure displaced workers have adequate safety nets. With purposeful leadership and collaboration, we can turn this global crisis into a unique opportunity to transition into a future of jobs that is inclusive, fair, and sustainable.
There's a full report from that website, World Economic Forum. I'll be able to share it here. It even lists the skills and the jobs of the future. And it actually begins by 2030. So it's something you may want to go through. Now, here there are two types of people. There are students that are here who are currently in college. There are those who are just about to go join college. This session is very important for them because it shows them what is relevant in the future. So, what are those skills that you need to go and learn in the future? Like 10 or 20 years to come, will you still be relevant? Yeah. When I was in college, there was a course called anthropology. Yeah, there was what? There are many courses that were there. But now you're like now, recently there was community development. There's a whole debate. Is it still relevant? Because you don't need to go to university to learn about communities. It's basically a skill that you may be open to learning, even if you are whichever course you've actually taken. The second group of people that are here are CWs or even staff who work with the churches. When you bring motivation speakers, when you're advising the young people what courses to take, are you still telling them to be lawyers, doctors, teachers? And most of the time they don't reach maybe 4 or 5. I did a case study where I work, and over 50% of the young people have gone to hair, beauty, and have gone to that is salon work, and they have gone to catering. Out of 200 of them, less than 1% are in IT, and yet that is where the future is. There are very few people who are doing online jobs, and that is where people are. Currently, in Kenya, there are people who don't leave their houses, and they're bringing in around 400,000, 300,000 just by doing jobs for other people. I'm not sure what you've gotten from Kamonde's session. Do we have questions so that Kamonde can respond? Kamonde, there's a question for you here. What major AI tools should we start with?
All right. Yeah. So one, the major AI tools that we need to begin with are the ones that are publicly available. There's ChatGPT, there's Microsoft Copilot, Gemini. There are many, so many, Perplexity. There's so many AI tools. So begin by them. But one very important skill that you need to learn is what we call AI prompt engineering. So how do you structure your statements so that you are gaining value from AI? I know we have seen in the adverts everywhere where they're saying, are you above, are you over 40? Are you using AI like, stop using AI like Google? So things like that. So what I'm trying to tell you is that develop what we call prompts that are highly customizable in a manner that they're drawing value out of uh, out of what you have. Then you can begin by using the free tools. Then as you advance using the free tools, if now there's a specific customization that is only available in a paid version because there's a gig that needs a paid version, then you can leverage now the paid versions. But begin by learning everything as much as possible through using the free tools. Do what we call the prompt engineering training well. Then understand the use cases within your industry. So what are the AI use cases within your area of work if you are a worker, or within your area of interest if you are a learner? Then you can be able, then as you begin using it to solve problems within a particular area, then you're documenting a use case. That is how we gain value. Then I'm seeing the other question, do we need to train AI to match our skills? The issue is we advocating for what we call the AI co-intelligence, artificial co-intelligence, because we are not looking at AI replacing a person, but a person orchestrating an AI. So that's the approach that you want to have. So what we need to say is that AI will never match all skills that human beings have, because now AI doesn't have emotional skills, but human beings have emotional skills. That's why we are interested in also developing emotional intelligence skills, empathy-driven leadership skills, amongst other skills that are necessary for us to work as human. So AI comes to augment us in areas where there are routine and repetitive tasks that can be done by AI through automation. So that's how we want to do. So as you learn, yes, you can be able to train AI. There are some AI that you're able to train them to become agents that mimic human skills, but they will not have all the human skills. So if you train an agent, you're using the agent basically as an augment of your capability so that you can be able to do more using the same effort. Steps to enroll for AI courses. So there are platforms where you can learn AI for free. You can go to Coursera. You can go to what do you call it? The HP for Life. You can learn there for free. You can go to IBM. You can go to Google. There are those AI. There are those trainings that are there. They will train you in how you can use their specific AI skills to a level where you become a professional. So you can Google. Let's make good use of our digital tools, our smartphones, our laptops, our tablets, so that we are learning every day. One good skill that I've always had is I always tell myself, the sun will not go down until I learn something new or know something new. So that's how I operate. So let's use a lot of our time to learn and then apply. So which AI-related skills should non-tech students focus on to stay competitive in the job market? One, AI prompt engineering is a plus for everyone. Then data skills, data literacy is a plus for everyone. Even if you're not in tech, AI prompt engineering and data literacy. So those are very important. Then the normal digital literacy, ability to use many platforms. They used to pivot across many platforms and apply them in area of work. They're also very important. Thank you. I don't know whether there's any other question. Those are the questions that I've been able to respond to. I've seen them on chat.
All right. So, Kamonde, you've been up here for quite a while, eh? The last question is, when you look at our centers, our churches, I know you see budgets, you see skills that, and even courses, especially skills that we are still doing. Can you name a few things you think not really, what are some of those things you think are not really relevant for our kids and our youth to continue doing? What should,
Uh,
like when you go to a center, what should you be seeing? And you know that
Mhm.
whatever these guys are doing, they'll be relevant in 10, 20 years to come. And what should we stop doing?
Yeah, so one of the things that we should really stop doing is preparing children for skills that we thought were marketable when we were young. So beadwork, tailoring, what and what. So I'm not saying they have not good skills, but they're not the standard. So instead of preparing children for dressmaking and tailoring, why not tech-driven fashion and design? So where we are now leveraging on the use of computer-aided design and AI to do the design. So you're learning the fashion trends across the world. Then when you are developing items, we are purposefully developing items for a specific market. So the core skill itself will be the dressmaking and tailoring skills, but that is the very minimum. That should not be the standard. But we should be aiming at, can this participant compete with a fashion designer in Spain or in Portugal or in Italy? Can they develop items that they can be able to compete at the same level at those global competitions and those global forums with somebody from Japan? So that's why we should be leveraging at. There's a simple tech skill like mobile phone repair. So every household has a smartphone, but very few churches have developed training for things like that. There are many other skills that we need to be thinking around. What are those tech skills that are aligned to the future of work that we can begin training at the FCP level? And the beauty of all this is that one, the curriculums are already available in online platforms. So what do we need to do? We need to develop a conducive training and skills development center at the FCP where the learners can access the resources from the platforms, but then practice at the skill development center. They are there. So if it is robotics, if it is IoT, Internet of Things, graphic design, and many other, so that they can learn together virtually, online, then do the practicals at the FCP at the church level. So that's how it can actually work well for them. Thank
Thank you so much, Kamonde, for pouring your heart out. And just for some of us, it's new information. For some of us, it's like a repetition. But either way, we keep doing this so that we can be better. Kamonde, kindly, you'll share the presentation. And then we'll also share this link. It's called a We Forum. It can tell you some of the jobs that will be growing and declining by 2030. Like some of the things that will be declining by 2030 is cashiers, administrative assistants, caretakers, cleaners, printing, accounting job will be declining by 2030, security guards, bank tellers. So right now, if you have a youth who wants to go into banking, it's okay, but they have to restructure and think about what type of banking do they want to do, data entry, graphic designers. So right now, if I see any young person going to a school to learn graphic design, spending 30 or 40,000, that for me, that's a waste of money. I can easily, like the post I shared with you guys, I used AI yesterday. And I've seen if some of the young people, like if I need a design, I send it to a young person and they use AI to design that. So there are many things that are changing, and there are some of the things that are coming up. So project managers, teaching, even teaching, you really have to rethink how are you going to be a teacher. If you're a teacher and you're not using AI, you need to think. Farming will still, people will still need food. So farming is still at the top. Farming delivery services will still be there. Software, fishing, shop salespersons, but also you need to know how to do um, sales and marketing using digital skills. Nursing is still ranking at the top. Social work is still there, and counseling because of mental health. There is a rise in that. So thank you so much, Kamonde. We'll take a break. We have session 2 coming up in 5 minutes. Don't log off. Session 2 is very important. So take a bathroom break. Already our coach here, Coach Roy Okonji, is already here. We now want to talk about money. The reason why we are doing this is when you're in development space, especially working with the vulnerable, you can do all the interventions, but if the mindset is not changed, it becomes very difficult for you to navigate that. So you can pay school fees, you can give them money, they can start businesses, but if they still have poverty mindset, it becomes very hard for them to break the ceiling of poverty and go into wealth creation or go into an environment where they can become better. So if you're working with churches, if you are a youth here, kindly don't miss this session. So get a cup of water. If you have tea, a bathroom break, very quick. We begin by 10:05. So you have only 4 minutes. Don't log out. That Today, Roy will demystify that poverty most of the time is not caused by demons, by ancestors, and it could be also personal choices. So these young people, what are those skills that they should embrace as they begin their adult life? Are their mindsets, attitudes they should stop so that they can begin their future of economic independence? But also, how can also these social workers and the mentors thrive on their own as they also support these young people? From 9 to 10, we had a session on the future of work, some of the skills that these young people need, some of the jobs that they should start focusing on by 2030, 2040, 2050. And there are other courses that will be redundant, actually by now or by 2030. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome Coach Roy. Coach Roy is a finance expert. He teaches finance and also helps people be free from debt. So he's a debt specialist. He's also a life coach, a motivation speaker, an author of many books. And today he's actually talking to us about how to break free from poverty and how we can start saving, how we can start making money. So Coach Roy, karibu sana. Let's give a round of applause. Let's react on the screen as we welcome Roy.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Billups. Please confirm that you can hear me.
We can hear you and we won't mind seeing a bit of your face and then you can remove how you look like.
Okay. Nice. Let me see if I can be seen. Good. Don't know whether you have seen someone that looks like me.
We can see you clearly now.
Okay. Then lastly, please confirm that you can also see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. So allow me to bring down the video just to improve the quality of this conversation. I can bring it back later. Okay. So thank you so much, Billups and the entire leadership and whoever has made this possible from Compassion International, and indeed everyone that is on this call today. I am so happy to be part of this conversation today. It's always a pleasure partnering with Compassion in having these conversations that can be able to move us from where we are to the next level. I like saying that part of why I exist, and the biggest part, is just to be able to inspire progressive change. My prayer is that in the few minutes that we will be together here, then we will both be inspired to be able to move from the level where we are in whichever way to another new level in the positive direction. Allow me to also commend the good work that Compassion is doing and the good work that every involved person is doing. When I joined this call, I was able to capture a few bits from the tail end of your last session that was just ending, and I was just smiling and saying, yes, I think these conversations have a bigger chance of equipping someone, to be able to begin to look at life from a realistic perspective, and to also be able to realize some of the skills that perhaps they might need to pursue that can make them ready for the kind of world that we are living in. So yes, as you can see, and as Bwana Billups has correctly said, my name is Roy Okonji. I am a financial literacy and entrepreneurship coach, trainer, speaker, and author. I spend most of my time just speaking to people as groups, and also as individuals in the one-on-one coaching setup. especially on matters of financial literacy. These are money matters, matters of entrepreneurship, and also a few other life skills. And today's topic is a very serious topic. It's a topic that lays foundation to how our money stories eventually look like. In fact, it also begins to explain why some of us are where we are financially, and it will also explain in advance why some of us will be where we will be financially. And therefore, it's a conversation that we all need to embrace, because it gives us an explainer to bigger things that we witness in society that perhaps confuse us, that perhaps have led to some of us embracing certain doctrines, embracing certain ways of looking at money because we did not have an understanding. And this is the conversation of mindset. And it's a big conversation. By no stretch of imagination would I say that we can be able to exhaust it in one sitting. But I will try to say as many salient features of this conversation as possible. And I hope that we will be able to be able to be inspired to now have a newer worldview as long as money and as far as money is concerned. Feel free to utilize the chat box to also respond because we would want to make this interactive. So if you have a question or you have an addition to any point that I will make, feel free to add it in the chat box. I will be peeping there once in a while so that then we can be able to enrich this conversation. All right, so you may have seen a number of things in life where money is involved. Some of them, or most of them, where you were brought up, probably through your parents and guardians, and some you may have seen in your own lives. And so today we will be looking at that soft part of the conversation of money. Before we begin to talk about how to manage money, there is this thing that is softly and quietly affecting our current behaviors with money. Allow me to mention as early as now that in the world of money, we get results, and indeed in the world of everything, we get results from effort, from actions, from behavior, more than we get results from knowledge. So yes, knowledge is powerful, and that is why we keep learning. That's why we are here to learn. But I'm reminding us that as long as you're just learning and not practicing, then you will only get results from what you practice. And not practicing is also a practice. So, therefore, when others will get results, you'll also get results from not practicing, okay? And that is where we get results from. Now, the behaviors that we have around money, the actions that we take around money are influenced by many things. Key amongst them is what we are talking about today, the conversation of mindset. So you may have seen in society, we have many people who are educated, but they still struggle with money. Okay? And sometimes this has given people power to say, why would you go to school if so and so went to school but they don't have money? If so and so went to school but they're still struggling. You may have had certain sentiments or statements like those ones. You may also have seen some people who have what looks like good income. They maybe have a job or they have a business and they're making some income that in your eyes looks like very good income. In fact, you're telling yourself, mtu akinipatia kama hiyo, mimi maisha yangu imeomoka. But those people, despite receiving what you think is good income, some of them actually agree it is good income, but they also seem to still be struggling. They are still often broke. So there's always that confusion. So what exactly is it that the money space wants? And so today we'll be trying to answer some of those complications that we tend to see in life. Because this is a big conversation, I will narrow down to the essence of money mindsets. What are they and what is their work? I've already tried to explain part of what the work of mindset is to direct and determine the actions that we take, right? It influences the attitudes that we begin to have in life. Then we will narrow down to wealth versus poverty mindsets. And because today we're trying to demystify poverty. And so we'll be looking at this mindset that makes many of us revolve around poverty. And I have captured the background that my brother Bilaps has mentioned, where most of us come from. And indeed, myself, I am a product of such a background. And for a long time, I struggled with the poverty mindset. In fact, one of the things that pushed me into beginning to learn about this mindset and beginning to also contribute in the knowledge of how to handle this mindset is because I have seen my life when I struggled with this mindset, and my life when I realized it's a mindset that can actually be changed, and beginning to work on it, and how things began to change. And therefore it's a practical conversation, that we will be having. So I'm happy that I am not a stranger to this mindset, and therefore we will be moving together in this. Then lastly, we'll also try to look at how to grow a wealth mindset, how to reverse, how to change this mindset and begin to look at life afresh. Okay, so please bring your minds here. That is the first thing I need, even as you want to write whatever it is that you capture from here. But first of all, I want your open mind here. Feel free to confront your realities. Some of what we will say here will not be easy to swallow, but please swallow and allow me to give a disclaimer that I give whenever I'm teaching about money, that in the course of the words I will use, I may pinch you not once, not twice. Ukisikia nimekuchuna, don't take it personal. Just take it as a wake-up call, right? Sometimes we have to really swallow bitter parts of things so that we can be able to heal and confront new realities. So today, that is what we'll be looking at. And then God willing, next week, we will now get a bit more technical and now begin to look at ways through which we can make money as young people from where you are. It will sort of complement or build on what you are doing in the first session, even then as we look at other practical ways of handling money when we begin to make it. All right. So allow me to ask you a question, and I want you to use the chat box to just give me some response. And the question I am asking you is, if today I gave you 100,000 shillings, what would you do with it? Please go to the chat box. Just tell me what you would do with it. I know it's a random question, but I want you to imagine quickly and just tell me what you would do with it. If someone gave you 100,000 shillings today, what would you do with it? Okay, keep them coming. I can see them beginning to come. What would you do with it? By the way, every answer to this question is correct, so don't struggle looking. There's no particular answer I'm looking for. I just want to know, you as a person, if someone gave you today 100,000 shillings, how would you spend it? All right. Okay, so someone is saying, I would invest it. Another person is saying, I will spend it. Another person is saying, I will invest it in my business. Another person is saying, I will start investment business. Okay. Another person is saying, I would invest. Another one is saying, I will buy shares. Another one is saying, I'll start a small business, start a business, expand my farming business, start a small business. Okay, open a business. I would invest in liquid soap materials. All right. I like the way some of you are responding. Very particular. I would buy 50 bunches of matoke and take to the market for sale. All right, that's another particular one. I would complete my rental house. I would start a business, buy shares. I will take it to my business, start a business, save with old mutual investment. Okay, that's how particular it can get. I'll buy shares. I'll purchase a good oven for my business. Right, I would buy bonds. I would start a business. I would spend. I would invest. Okay, very nice. I would save. Wow, very good. That's a good spectrum of human behavior where money is involved. And what I wanted us to realize from these responses is that we will all behave differently when we get money. We might be in the same class. We are learning the same things. We might be employed in the same place. We are even earning the same amount of money. But whenever money hits our hands, our behavior becomes different. We go different directions. There is someone, whenever they get money, their head begins to read spending. That's why we have had some answers here saying, I would spend. There are some people, whenever money hits their hands, the first thing that comes to their head is saving. Other people, whenever money hits their hands, the first thing that comes to their head is investing. And then it even goes further to even break it into particular things. Some people will say, I will spend it buying clothes. Other people say, nitapiga sherehe. Other people say, I will give the entire of it to church. Other people will say whatever they will say. Now, what we are answering today is, what is it at the back of your mind that influences the first or the common thoughts that come to your system whenever money comes to your hands? Okay. Now, what dictates what comes to your system is largely what we have said, your mindset, and not witchcraft. Okay. I was running a church conference in a certain church where I was invited for 3 days this past week. And we were talking about money all these 3 days from a biblical perspective. And one of the things we were also demystifying is over blaming witchcraft, where mindset and our actions are lacking. Okay, where we are easy to say that it is because of where I come from, the background. My parents did not give me this, and so therefore I don't have chance, to do better in life. So we're beginning right now to realize that it is possible to adjust how we think and the attitudes that begin to come as a result of how we think. All right, so that was just to help us begin to lay foundation for this conversation. And we are saying that different people will handle money differently based on how they think about money. In life, we will get many opportunities. And for all of us who are on this call, life will bring opportunities our way. Some of us will see them. Some of us will not see them. Now, those of us that will see them, there are those who will go a step further and do some things with those opportunities. By the way, even if you will not do a thing with it, you will have done something, which is called nothing, with the opportunities. So life will give us opportunities. What we will do with them will determine what our lives will look like. All right? Life may deny you a lot of things, but opportunities are always around us. We will need to learn how to identify these opportunities, but beyond learning how to see them, I like saying life has two types of people. There are those who see opportunities and those who seize opportunities, those who grab the opportunities and do something meaningful with them. Just remember, whatever you will do with those opportunities will determine what becomes of your life later on. It is interesting also for you to realize that it is documented, actually, that more than 70% of people who win lotteries end up going broke, even poorer than they were before they won the money. I'm talking about those of us that might be lied to that gambling can be a shortcut to wealth, to accessing riches. Let me not call it wealth, because wealth is built step by step. All right. Now, I want you to wrap your head around this reality that the people who win those jackpots, more than 70% of them eventually end up poorer than they were before they won the money. In fact, many of them psychologically have also been found to end up more depressed than before, because now they have the regrets of juzi juzi tu nilikuwa na milioni kadhaa, juzi juzi nilikuwa na pesa fulani, but now I don't have it. You can imagine those regrets now whenever they replay the tape, and you see you rarely will win many jackpots. I think there is just one gentleman who has been recorded to have won several of them, but the cycle still repeats itself. And so we are also continuing to answer these same questions. Why would someone who accessed millions still end up poorer? So unless we are able to adjust how we think and the attitudes that we have around money, nothing is actually going to change. That is what we are saying. That even if someone brought money in your hands, in the tunes of millions of it, the truth is, if you have not adjusted your way of thinking, you will spend that money in a poverty way. Two of you can be given the same amount of money. You have just seen how we have answered the question of 100,000 shillings. So two people can be given the same, but one will spend it in a poverty way, another one will spend it in a wealthy way. And the difference is just in how they think about money. There is one who will want to pay back for the opportunities they've lost in life. That is why even here in Kenya, there was a guy who won a jackpot some years back. And the guy was recorded now beginning to buy several cars. You start telling yourself, I have been left behind. So by now, ningekuwa nimepata magari kama 5 if things were okay. So let me buy all the 5 cars now. Let me experience what a Benz looks like. Let me experience what a Toyota feels like. Let me experience what this other one feels like. When the truth is, if truly you needed a car, perhaps you only needed one. We saw that guy beginning to fly. And at one point, he even hired a chopper to go to Kakamega. The guy wants to feel that there is something those people who've been going through using choppers have been experiencing that I have been missing out. Okay. We may need to mute. Okay. And that is what I'm calling spending it in a poverty way. Your head tells you that you need to compensate. You need to eat food that you've not eaten for all these years. That's how I find you. That you are one person on a table, but you are confused in a restaurant. You've called for chicken, you've called for nyam chom, you've called for pizza, because your head wants to compensate for the things that lack has denied you in the past. So that is as much as the poverty mindset will begin to affect us when you start accessing money. So it's important we become aware that poverty does not start with lack of money. It starts with how we think. Lack of money, I like saying, is only one of the symptoms of poverty. It is not poverty itself. True poverty lies in our thought system, in our mindset. Okay, so that is why I had to give you these examples, that it is possible that someone can give you money, that God can bless you with a job, A job that everyone looks at and says, this person has good money. A business that will thrive. People look at your business and they say, this person is blessed. But it is possible, while they are saying that, you yourself, you are even wondering whether someone cast you or not, because you cannot seem to see progress. All right, so when we talk about money mindsets, what are we talking about? So a mindset is simply your way of thinking. Okay? Your way of thinking. The actions we take in life are products of our way of thinking. No wonder the Bible reminds us that as a man thinketh, so is he. We are products of our thought. And our thought system is one of the things we must seriously protect. Okay? Because whatever we think, we get to speak, we get to act. Right? And that's why we don't have actions that are fully spontaneous. They are products of our thinking. Sometimes we may not see the time difference between when the thought came and when the action came. But the truth is that the actions we take are products of how we think. So how we think influences our behavior. It influences how we act. Then how we act gives us results. So that is mindset in a nutshell, in a simple way. Now, when we narrow down to money mindset, we are talking about your way of thinking around money. Sometimes I call it your money software. You've now interacted with computers. You know that the computer world has hardware components and software components. And the software components are what influences the behavior of your computer, what will come out or what your computer is capable of doing so that it can give you the results that you want. That if your computer is lacking a certain software, it might be the most recent computer, but if it has not been loaded with a certain software, there are certain things that you will not be able to do. So people will say, okay, get out your computers, and you will remove your laptop, very brilliant, most expensive in the room. And then people say, let us go to this application, let us open this software, and let us do this. Your machine will look at you and will not be able, because you've not loaded it with the right software for the task at hand. So we also have money softwares. That is the mindset that we're talking about. That thing that influences what you're doing quietly. We don't get to see it, but we see it in your behavior. Okay. Now, allow me to ask you another question. What do people around you say about money? You know, people are always talking about money. We think about money a lot of times in any given day, and we speak about it. Some of what we say might be positive, some of what we say might be negative. But you have heard things people say. Your friends keep talking about money. You yourself, you keep saying some things about money. I want you to go to the chat box. Just tell me what people around you say about money. I've told you what people around me say. People around me say money is hard to get. I don't know whether you have heard some people say such things. People around me say money speaks. Right? Sometimes they say when money speaks, everyone keeps quiet. All right. So please tell me in the chat box, what do people around you say about money? There are many things. In fact, every one of us can say something. But just tell me in the chat box, what have you heard people saying about money? What have you heard people saying about money? All right. I can begin to see them coming. Yeah. Someone is saying, people say money solves all issues. Someone is saying, people say money is a spirit. Yes. People say money solves all problems and makes life easier. People say money is the source of all evil. People say money is everything. Money will give you a name. Money is a root cause of evil. Okay, this one is incomplete. Money is the devil. Pesa huisha. Salimianga watu. Pesa huisha. Okay. Money brings financial freedom. Bila pesa, no life balance. The love for money is the root of all evil. Money is life. Money is an energy. It is sweet to have money. Money is sweet. Money kills. It's hard to get. Whoever discovered money did a very wrong thing. Money is difficult to get. Money is slippery. Money finishes fast. It answers all things. Ni sabuni ya roho. Hey, and they have refused to tell me how much we need. Ndio roho ikuwe safi vile inafaa. That money is like a prostitute. It comes and leaves you after a short time. It does not stay. Wow. Some people were born with the skill of making money. Money is power. Pesa huongea. Money is life. Money makes the world go round. It's everything. It changes everything. Money is needed for a comfortable life. Money is power. Money has wings. Money is sweet. Wow. Good representation. You can see what people are saying. A lot of things. Some of them positive, some of them negative. Some of them empowering, some of them disempowering. The reality on the ground is that most of those things that people are saying are not necessarily facts, but they are a reflection of mindsets. People tend to say what they believe. When you listen to people speak and you watch people do what they do, you begin to unravel, you begin to understand what their thought system looks like. Someone who says money is hard to get, they're not just casually saying it. If you look at them keenly, they have believed that money is hard to get. Perhaps it's a statement they keep saying every other day, and it affects them quietly, but they don't seem to see. There are those people, and some of you have heard me say, share a reality that says there is no small money. There are those people who keep saying, pesa yao ni ndogo, hakaka pesa kangu, and they have normalized hakuna pesa, even when they have money in their pocket. That is what they believe. That what they're earning currently is so small, it cannot do anything. And so they sit pretty and do nothing, fold their arms and say, ipo siku, that they will get a lot of money. They don't know how much they are waiting to get. And no one has promised them. They don't know when it will come. There is something currently in their hands, but they can't do much with it because they have said that is small, that is very little. They're waiting for big money. And so they stay stagnated. So they get results of stagnation because they are not taking any action that would move them forward. I don't know what you yourself say about money. So allow us then to now narrow down to the wealth mindset versus the poverty mindset. The poverty mindset is sometimes called the scarcity mindset. The wealth mindset is sometimes called the abundance mindset. When we talk about the wealth mindset, we are just talking about your way of thinking that believes in abundance and possibility of wealth creation. That wherever you sit, you are constantly telling yourself that you know it is possible that one day you will make it. That the actions you're putting in place today can be able to grow. I have heard some of you, when I asked about the 100,000 shillings, some of you saying you would start a business. So the wealth mindset is the one that tells you, I am starting a soap making business, like one of you said. But then you're telling yourself, I know my business will grow. It has potential to grow. Do you know there's another person who starts that business and they tell themselves, and I have done a lot of entrepreneurship training, and on the ground, sometimes when we are starting the training, I give the participants the opportunity to introduce themselves. And particularly, I want to hear how they speak about their businesses. And you will hear someone say, my name is Peter. I run a small kiosk pale chini. My name is Mary. Nimejishikilia tu kwa kaduka fulani hapa nauza tunguo. You can even hear the words they're using. They've already condemned their business. Such people do not see growth in those businesses. What they don't know is that in the cycle of mindset formation, which I will not go into today, we begin to collect from what the world is saying. I call it the stage of collection, where our antennas are hearing what people are saying. Our antennas are observing what our eyes are seeing. And so you hear people say, pesa ni ngumu kupatikana, biashara siku hizi haisongi, and all those things. You are collecting. Your system is just collecting. Okay? You are observing things. Then you graduate it to the level of believing. After it has been said many times, you begin to believe, by the way, haiwezi kuwa mistake kwamba kila mtu anasema biashara ya sabuni haiwezi thrive huku kwetu. Nimesikia. Haiwezi kuwa mistake, watu 10 wamesema biashara ya sabuni haiwezi enda mahali. So you are now beginning to form conclusions and you're beginning to start believing. So you move from collecting what the world is sending, the signals that the world is sending to you. Then you form conclusions that it could be true. Then you believe in your conclusions. Then with the time, because the world keeps sending signals, the world has never stopped. Every single day, as long as you're alive, you're meeting encounters every day. So signals are being collected and picked, and therefore conclusions are being made every time by you, and therefore belief systems are being enriched every time, and that graduates into attitudes. And so if you already had a soap making business, people used to see you with energy, right? Used to tell us about your business. Suddenly we start seeing you dying in energy. You no longer speak with energy because you have started forming attitudes about your business, because you have believed what your society has given to you, and you start dying quietly. You no longer have the energy you had about your soap business. So what that happens is your attitudes then translate or graduate into actions. That is how we start seeing you opening your shop late. You used to open at 7 in the morning, you start opening at 10. That's how we start seeing you begin to relax in performing where you are employed. You used to be energetic. You used to be sent and you would go quickly. These days when they send you, you start asking them whether it is part of your job. You can no longer stretch yourself. You can no longer go an extra mile. That is how we start seeing you speak to your customers carelessly, because you've started losing hope in that business. You formed a negative attitude towards that business. So a wealth mindset is that one that tells you, I believe that this business that I have is going to take me places. It's going to grow. If you are employed, you're beginning to tell yourself that I believe this job that I have found is going to open spaces for me. This job will help me to invest in future. This job is going to help me be able to tackle emergencies in future. You're looking at things from a brighter perspective. That is the wealth mindset. The scarcity mindset or the poverty mindset, on the other hand, is your way of thinking that keeps you stuck even when opportunities exist. So God has given you the opportunity of having a business, but you will be stuck because your attitude towards this business is negative. And therefore, you will not put in effort that would push it to grow. God has given you a job, but even how you treat this job is one thing. When I train people about retirement, my first slide is a slide that I call the job cycle. The job cycle is a little model I came up with to help people appreciate what the job world looks like. And the first, it has 3 stages. The first stage is a stage of job hunting. Some of you will be in that stage before long, where you're trusting God for a job. Now, God will give you a job at some point if that is what you want. Then you move to the stage I call job maintenance stage. The job maintenance stage is where you have to take care of your job. When you get a job, you have now to perform. You have to observe rules and regulations. You have now to do what your employer expects of you, to observe your code of conduct, and so on. There are very many people who get jobs and lose them because they are not able to fit in that space. Their attitudes cannot keep them in that job. That is what a poverty mindset will do to you. It's your way of thinking that keeps you stuck. So you have things that other people see as opportunities. That is why people say, hiyo mshahara yake nikipewa tu hata nusu. I'm sure you've heard those things. Nikipata tu hata nusu, naweza fanya mambo. Now that is a wealth mindset thinking. Okay? But then a poverty mindset, even with that one, you still say, hey, hii pesa imekujia watu wengine. And I liked when we have been talking about what people are saying. It's one of you said, pesa iko na wenyewe. So you still have it, the opportunity in your hands, but you still believe kwamba pesa iko na wenyewe. And I like asking you, why can't you be one of the wenyewes? And these are things I experienced when I was suffering in the bondage of the poverty mindset. Constantly believing that other people are better than myself. Pesa iko na wenyewe. So now what I want to do is to help you locate whether this mindset might be affecting you today. And so I want to give you characteristics, some characteristics. I have developed very many of them, but today I'll just give you about 9 of them. And what I want you to do is develop your own tick boxes, check boxes where you'll be checking. When I mention, you tell yourself, is it yes affecting me or no, not affecting me? Then you can be able to gauge where you are standing. So what you can do, if you have a place to write, you can draw a column for yes and no. So make 3 columns. One column is for number 1, 2, 3 up to 9. The second column is for yes. The third column is for no. Okay. Then as I will be reading, yours is just to tick. If you are affected, you tick yes. If you're not affected, you tick no. I know some of you might be following this as a group. Don't worry. You are worried that they will see what you're ticking. Don't worry. You can actually decide that your column for yes will mean no, and your column for no will mean yes. So now your neighbors don't know what you are ticking. So feel free to even tick as you display, because no one knows which one is yes and which one is no. But I would want you to be brutally truthful with yourself. Change started happening in my life the day I owned and said, by the way, I am affected by this mindset. And for me, when I encountered the reality of mindset, that is the day light started occurring in my life. I have mentioned, and some of you may have heard, those who probably have encountered my teachings online, I am the only award-winning borrower this side of the universe. I hold a very expensive trophy that was given to me by one of my Shylocks for being the most trustworthy borrower. There was a time in my life when I struggled with debt to levels you don't want to imagine. And I was a banker then. So I'm a former banker who retired early when I discovered the gift that God had given me, the gift of speaking to inspire. And so I left to come and commercialize that gift. And that is the business I run today. I run a training, coaching, and consulting company where we get to train people, groups of people, coach them, and do team building for them, and so on. So now, back then, that mindset made me believe that my income was not sufficient. All right? And whenever I had a financial need, the first thought that came to my mind was that I needed to find someone. Nani atanikopesha, ndio nikipata yangu nimrudishie. And I ended up borrowing money even when I did not need to borrow. And that sent me into a bondage you do not want to imagine. And that's how I found myself owing a multitude of people. Because it is in the public domain, I will still tell you, some of you are aware, that I was owing a record 86 lenders. 86 is not just a number. 86 are pressure points. 86 are people that can push you into beginning to think about suicide. But the biggest breakthrough came when I stumbled upon some literature on a poverty, the power of mindset, and especially the poverty mindset. So I started to read more, decided to read more about it. And I started to reflect on my own life. And I realized, man, this thing has affected me. So I started by accepting that indeed I am affected. So that's how I was now able to start building some literature around it, and to now walk myself through the path of remedy and so on, until I started seeing results coming. Okay, so I want you to be brutally truthful with yourself. Do not hide anything from yourself. All right, if we are there, then please breathe in. Yes, breathe in. I'm looking at you. And breathe out. All right, number one. So I've categorized them into focus areas, just 9 of them for today. And so we'll mention what people in that bracket behave if they are affected by a poverty mindset. And I've just made them into simplified versions. Sometimes we get to complicate them a bit, but so that we can be able to score ourselves. Number one, when it comes to money thoughts, all of us think about money, and it's a normal thing because this world is run by money. We live a life that is powered by money. One of you, or no, a number of you said money runs the world. Yeah, we live in a life that is powered by money. So we are constantly thinking about money. But now our thoughts are different depending on whether we have a poverty mindset or a wealth mindset. People who have a poverty mindset, they're constantly worried about money. So their thoughts are of worry, whether they have money or not. When they have money, they are worried that the money will be finished. Ikiisha nitafanya nini? When they don't have money, they are worried of what will happen to them the next minute. Lunch ikifika itakuwaje? Na nitasurvive aje bila pesa? Na sina. So their thinking space about money is largely dominated by worry. If you are one of those, please tick appropriately, or let me finish so that your neighbor will not know what you are ticking. Those that have a wealth mindset, they are constantly thinking about money, but they are thinking about possibilities of money. When they don't have money, they are thinking about, what can I do so that I can get some money? When they have money, they are thinking about, what can I do with this money so that it can be able to grow, so that it can be able to do more things for me. I hope you're seeing the difference between the two thinkings. All right. Now you can tick appropriately. Number 2, both of these people have an attitude towards the wealthy, people who seem to have money around you. Now, if you have a poverty mindset, people who have a poverty mindset largely tend to dislike. They have a certain, allow me to call it in quotes, hatred towards people who seem to have money. They dislike, they speak bad things about people who have money. That's why you will see them say things like anaringa kwa sababu ya pesa, na hizi pesa ni maua, pesa zinaishanga tu, pesa hata ni kitu ya kuringia watu kweli, hizi ni vitu za dunia, hiyo yake lazima ni ya wash, hii yake lazima ni ya uizi. Vile huwa namuona akaangi ni kama mtu straight sana. Hiyo pesa hiyo yezi kuwa ati ni ya hiyo biashara. Hiyo biashara yake ya kuku, unaona ni kama inaweza mnunulia mtu motorbike? Hapana. Huu lazima kuna vitu zingine ye hufanya ambazo si poa. Have you had that conversation? Right? They have a certain quiet dislike, and sometimes it gets to be seen. Sometimes you can see even in the reaction towards people who seem to have money. People who have a wealth mindset, on the other hand, what they will do is that they celebrate those who are ahead of them, and they are eager to learn from them. When they meet someone who has achieved something, you will hear them say, wow, so how did you do it? Did you ever meet challenges on the way? How did you go about your challenges? When these others are quietly hating on them, the ones who have a poverty mindset will rarely even ask those developmental questions. How did you pull through? Do you have any challenges along the way? What are your future plans? They'll quietly be saying, huyu anajifanya tu. Unajua pesa hukuja na pesa huenda. I hope you're seeing the difference. Please stick appropriately. Number 3, when it comes to planning, okay, planning is a very powerful part of life. People who have goals and try to pursue them have better chances of achieving a lot than people who are approaching life blindly. Now, when it comes to planning, people who have a poverty mindset are pessimistic about long-term plans. Don't make a mistake of asking them, what are your plans for the next 5 years? Where do you want to see yourself? They will not answer you. They feel offended. Why are you asking about 5 years? In fact, they will tell you, it is God who knows. If they are believers, some of them will tell you, hizo ni mipango za God. Okay? They don't want to think about uko. According to them, we can only talk about what is happening now. Okay? So they usually think small and in the now. Their mind does not want to accommodate any futuristic thoughts, and therefore don't ask them questions of growth in the future. Ati hii biashara yako unaona ikigrow ikifika wapi, ama umeipangia nini? Watakuambia hii biashara all right, let's mute. They'll tell you hii biashara, wacha tuone tu vile itaenda. Okay? Because they believe they don't have power. All right? Now, people who have a wealth mindset, they're optimistic of the future. They will tell you, I'm hoping that this business can graduate and become a wholesale in future. They are positive about it. And you see, it is that positive energy that begins to attract actions that would move us into growing in future. Okay. So they also think big and they're futuristic. They're looking forward to growth. Always. That is a difference. That is very key. These others don't like to look into the future. Usiniulize hizo story. Then hao wengine watakwambia, Mungu akinipea uhai, naomba kwamba in the next few years, the next 2 years, 3 years, nikuwe nimefika place fulani. Number 4, when it comes to spending, people who have a poverty mindset keep denying themselves forever. Okay? They keep denying themselves. Wanajinyima. They believe that money is not supposed to be spent. Okay? So they only spend when it is absolutely necessary. So huyu jamaa atashinda njaa akiwa na pesa. Not because, there is where you are denying yourself for a bigger cause. Maybe you are saving ndio ufungue kiosk. So unajiambia, I will skip lunch. There are those personal promises we give to ourselves. You have a bigger thing you're pursuing. This one does not have a bigger thing they're pursuing, but because I told you, they are constantly worried about pesa kuisha. Therefore, they want to hold on to money. They want to believe that money is not to be spent. So they will deny themselves. Watashinda njaa, even when they have money. Okay? Now, and where they have to spend, they will spend before they save. They don't believe in saving. Remember, we have said they don't embrace futuristic thinking. And saving means you're putting money aside for future use. So them, if they have to spend, then they spend in the now. but they also find it very difficult spending, releasing money. Okay? It does not mean they don't have money. Some of them have. There's a story, and which I actually traveled to get to see the particular shop. There is a person who has a very big supermarket in this country. And one day, he collapsed in his supermarket and he was rushed to hospital. They did very many tests on him, and the tests came out negative. He was not sick. Lastly, the doctor asked him whether he had eaten, when last he had eaten. And it was found that the man had not eaten and the man had not been taking water. Now that was not very interesting. What was interesting is, kwa hiyo supermarket yake, mahali kuna ofisi yake, is where food items of the supermarket, the stock for food items, hapo ndio imewekwa. Akizunguka hivi anaona bread, akizunguka hivi anaona maziwa, akizunguka hivi, akinyorosha mkono hivi inashika chakula ingine, akipenduka hivi inashika ingine. But the guy is denying himself. The guy is making profits in tunes of millions, but the guy does not believe that that money is supposed to be spent. So there's a difference between denying yourself for a better cause and denying yourself for the sake of fear of the money getting finished. That's where we draw the line. People who have a wealth mindset will remember themselves. They'll also remember to save before they spend. There's someone who is ticking on our screen. Please avoid ticking on our screen. Okay, tick in your notebook. Number 5, when it comes to opportunities, people who have a poverty mindset believe that opportunities are scarce. There are no opportunities. You'll hear them even say, hii nchi haina opportunities. Hii nchi imejaa mashida. They forget that wherever there are problems, there will always be opportunities of solving those problems. People who have a wealth mindset believe that opportunities are abundant. There are many opportunities in life. And that is why there are people who open some shops where you live. Halafu hizo duka zinashika, unashangaa, huyu jamaa alitoa pia idea. Yaani tumeishi hapa na hatujawahi fikiria kwamba biashara kama hii inaweza shika. So the opportunities were right at your noses, but you could not see because you believe there are no opportunities. Opportunities are scarce. It took another person who believes that there are opportunities everywhere to just come and realize, by the way, watu mbona wanatembea wakienda mbali kutafuta posho meal? Si ni kama wanahitaji posho meal, na ni kama kuna population inatosha hapa ya posho meal. And tomorrow they bring a posho meal and we see people full in their posho meal. Tunaanza kushangaa, na huyu jamaa alifikiria aje juu ya posho meal? Okay, I recently wrote an ebook, a small ebook that I call the Business Idea Blueprint. And the work of that ebook is not to give you a list of ideas. That's a bit generic. The work of that small ebook is to help you be able to generate your own ideas. Instead of asking people, mtu anaweza weka wapi, invest wapi pesa? Nikikuwa na 15K hivi naweza fungua biashara gani? It helps you to open your eyes and begin to come up with your own realistic ideas. It helps you to realize that there are actually opportunities everywhere. Please continue ticking. Number 6. When it comes to success, there's a concept of success in life. Okay? I hear you saying, huyo jamaa make it. Huyo amekafunga. Huyo jamaa ameomoka. Okay? That could be part of what you're calling success. People who have a poverty mindset, when they look at financial success, they believe that people who are financially successful are just lucky. Ni bahati yao tu. Okay? And even if you listen to the music they will listen to, they like listening to music that is speaking about bahati. Bahati ya mtu haijulikani. Hiyo ni bahati yake. Siku moja hata wewe bahati yako itakuja. Because your system believes that it is only luck. But you've also had people say luck favors the prepared. So you are seated there and doing nothing. In fact, the saying that luck favors the prepared is actually countering and just reminding you that there is nothing like depending on luck, okay? Like the preparedness is your action. So results will still follow action, okay? So people who are pulled down by a poverty mindset believe that the people who've made it were just lucky. That's why they will rarely take action, because they're also waiting for their lucky day. People who have a wealthy mindset believe that financial success is a result of deliberate and consistent effort. Lazima mtu ajitume. You have to get up and try doing something. And because I'm speaking to us from a Christian perspective, one of the things I like reminding ourselves is that the place of work has been so glorified in the Bible, so much that even the miracles that were performed, there will be an element of work in them. That is why when Naaman will need healing, he will be told to go and dip himself in that river 7 times. And he actually refused because that was work. He actually complained. Okay? If you, that should be in 2 Kings. That should be, I think, chapter 5, after the widow's miracle. Okay? And the guy complains, I thought I would just come here, and the man of God raises his hand and makes a few pronouncements and I am healed. Why would you send me to dip myself into? And he started going back until he was convinced, and he came back and he dipped himself and he got healed. The widow in chapter 4 of that same book, the one whose husband had died, and I used that to teach about the lesson of debt for Christians. And the husband has died and left behind debt. And he goes to Elisha to seek for help. And a miracle is performed, the miracle of the oil. And so oil has been, she's asked her what she has in her house. She has a little bottle of oil, and she's given work. And the first work is to go and gather vessels. And the second work is to be able to pour the oil in the vessels. And the third work, which is very powerful, is to go and sell. That if you want to get money, to clear your debt, and to live in abundance, now go and sell. Brothers and sisters, we cannot escape the place of work. Wealth and laziness don't fit in the same sentence. They don't. Deuteronomy 8:18 reminds us it is God who gives us power to make wealth. It is not him who gives us wealth. He gives us power to make. Underline make. Okay? So, much as you want to say it is luck, please remember there is the place of work. Tick appropriately. Number 7, when it comes to responsibility, people who have a poverty mindset are constantly blaming things on others. Okay? They have an excuse why they have not achieved something. They will always tell you, I am where I am because my parents were poor. I am where I am because they didn't give me a background. And by the way, there's a certain age when you get, you must stop talking about background in terms of explaining where you are. Okay? Why you are where you are. There's a time that comes, you now take ownership and say, they did not give me a background. And indeed, many of us were not given that background. Many of us actually have had the honors, the responsibility of going to repair the background first. Okay? But then we have to realize that if we continue blaming it on others, we will not move forward. So you will hear them saying, the reason I did not plant is because, you see, last year I planted and the rains didn't come. So I'm not ready to lose. They always have a reason. They always have a reason. Why haven't you applied for a job? You know, You just check. The other day, the universities graduated to you how many thousands of people, and you can imagine. So, how many chances do I have? I'm not even a graduate myself. They always have some explanation, but they are simply giving excuses, largely because they easily blame things on others. Now, people who have a wealthy mindset will take responsibility. Even where they've made a mistake, they will own and say, yeah, hapa nimeblanda. Yeah, hapa sikufanya vile nilifaa kufanya. I was supposed to have talked to so and so. I was supposed to have come up with a business idea. I haven't come up with it. Don't say, I've been very busy. I was doing what? If you truly know, the reason why you haven't done is because you just have not done. Just own up and say, I have failed here. So, kama uko na katabia ka kublame, tick appropriately. I have heard Swahili people say, mbaazi ukikosa kuzaa, unalaumu jua. Okay? So please do not be mbaazi every day. When it comes to cost, you see, in the world of money, Agnes, kindly. Okay, thank you. In the world of money, we will be spending money at some point. So there'll be a cost. We will be buying something at a certain price. So when it comes to cost, people who have a poverty mindset are always looking for cheap and free things. Always looking for cheap and free things. By the way, there is nothing wrong in looking for a good price for what you want to buy. I want you to get the difference. The people who have a poverty mindset will go for the cheapest. Their eyes are not looking for value. Their eyes are looking for a cheaper price. Okay? That is why they will go and be told they want to buy a shirt. There is a shirt that is selling at 700 shillings. A very strong shirt that actually can last them 2 years. Let's say it's uniform for something. But there's another shirt, same color, that is selling at 200 shillings or 300 shillings. But it is a shirt that can only last for 6 months. Because they don't like futuristic thinking, their eyes will go only to the price. So they will buy the one selling at 300. But the one selling at 300 expires after 6 months. Isha raruka, isha chanika, isha discolor. They'll need to buy another one after 6 months. But today they have 700 in their hands. They naturally buy the one for 300. I hope you're getting where I'm drawing the line of cheap. Okay? There is a one who wants the one for 700 and is bargaining, telling them, haggling with them, telling them, si uniuzie 600. That's not the cheapness I'm talking about. I'm talking about the cheapness of simply looking for that which sells at a small number without thinking about the value, the quality. So at the end of 2 years, these people have bought 4 shirts and they have used 300 times 4, 1200. When the person who bought one at 700 has used it for 2 years, they have used 1200. But their eyes cannot see 1200. Their eyes will see 300 of today. I hope you begin to see how it pulls us back into poverty. And the cycle remains because now you thought you are saving money, but you are setting yourself up for spending more in the long run. People who have a wealthy mindset are willing to pay for value. So they want to ask themselves, quality ya hizi vitu mbili. Now, there's a difference where you are buying what you can afford and you are buying the cheapest. So I'm talking about these ones buying the cheapest. Not because it is just what they can afford, but because their head looks for the cheapest. These ones are willing to pay for value. Number 9, and the last one for today. People who have a poverty mindset largely have low confidence levels, hawajiamini, and they have self-pity. Wanashindanga wamejihurumia, wanashindanga wakiongea mambo ya uoye. They have pity parties. If you hear them well, whenever they speak, they have a lot of uoye in them. All right? When we are saying, let us meet in this place, they are telling themselves, ai, na nikienda waseme kila mtu alipe bili yake ya chai, so I will not go. Na nikikanyaga nyanya za wenyewe. So they largely do not have confidence in themselves. So wanakaanga tu wanyonge tu wamedhoofika. Please do not confuse between poverty and humility. Okay? People who are humble are aware of themselves and they deliberately choose not to be full of themselves and to recognize that other people have also something that they can bring to the table. But people who lack confidence, we will not call them humble. It is just that they don't have confidence. Their system tells them that they are inadequate. They are not good enough. Okay? And some of them lie to themselves that if they got a little more money, they may become confident. I will tell you for free, I have interacted with people who have a lot of money, but they still haven't gotten confidence because that poverty thing is still eating them up. You and I have also seen people who are very confident even when they don't have money. Hata unashangaa, na huyu jamaa anatoa wapi nguvu za kuongea? So please do not confuse those two. All right? But people who have a wealth mindset are highly confident. They will tell you about their business even before the business is to a level that you would think they would be talking about what they're talking about. But they'll tell you, my name is so and so, and I run this business, and this business is the one that supplies the best in this place. Okay? Ukienda kuwa visit, unaweza pata hiyo duka wamesema. Wewe ulifikiria ni ki-wholesale fulani. Unaweza ipata ni kiosk fulani, 1 meter by 1 meter. Okay? But it is that confidence that begins to break barriers for them, that begins to help them push growth out of their businesses. They are enthusiastic. They have energy that is positive. Now, you can do the totals. If you are ticking, of course, it's only you who knows where yes and no is. You can do the totals. And I deliberately made the indicators 9 so that you can begin to tell where the scale is tilting towards. Okay? This was just for self-assessment and self-discovery, for us to be able to tell ourselves whether we are struggling with this thing or not. It is not mandatory that if you have any yes, you automatically have a poverty mindset. No. However, if you have 4 yeses and above, it's a wake-up call that you might need to pay attention to your situation. You might need to pay attention to your situation. Okay? I like what you people are saying. Yes, you're supporting people who talk negative about others. That huyu ni Illuminati. Yes. Wow, someone is saying, I'm really, really enjoying this session. Thank you very much. All right. Yes. Thank you very much. So now you have seen your numbers. I will not ask you to post your numbers. Those are your numbers. We needed to go through this so that we can begin the journey of revealing ourselves to ourselves and owning up so that we don't run away from ourselves. Please allow me to remind you again, it may not be your fault where you start, but it will be your responsibility where you end. So, you may have had a rough start, while others are starting with an inheritance in their hands, while others are starting with their parents having given them a house and a car and maybe some capital. Maybe you had none of those, right? However, that does not mean that that is how you should end. So while you may not have power to have influenced how you started or how you will start, just remember that you will always have power to influence how you will end. Please do not forget. You forget everything else I say. Please remember that you and I have a responsibility to influence where we will end. The story is just starting. Okay? The good thing is that you have edge on your side. And the earlier you embrace these realities of life, the better. Okay? So that then you can swing into action. Na ujitume. And so that then we can begin to see the differences that God planned that we see in our lives. Okay, continue expressing yourselves. I continue to see your expressions coming. Right. Kindly mute. Caleb? Thank you. Thank you. Someone is saying it's really good for self-evaluation. Someone is urging that we organize many more of these. Okay, Sawa, thank you very much. All right, so please do not forget that wherever you have started from or you will start from does not mean that that is where you will end. Allow me to share quickly just a few tips on how we can grow a wealth mindset. Again, the tips here are usually very many, but I just want to share with us 7 of them. Just 7 tips on how we can be able to start running away from a poverty mindset. Number 1, where it starts is acceptance. The reason why we were doing that exercise is so that you can begin to see yourself. Unaweza anza kujiona mahali, unaweza anza kujiambia, looks like this thing has been following me. Looks like, yeah, this explains why nikienda kwa hoteli, macho yangu inaendanga kwa price kabla ianze kuona food. So that ukifika, unaona menu iko na kitu ya 40 bob, ndio unarudi sasa huku kuangalia, only for you to realize kumbe hiyo 40 bob ni glass of water, haikukuwa food. Ndio unarudi tena ile side, ujaribu tena kuzungusha macho, ndio urudi huku. Okay? So that you can begin to dream and say, one day I want, when I go to a restaurant, I look for food before I see the price of that food. Okay? So it starts with acceptance. You cannot solve a problem whose existence you still deny. Okay? So kama bado unapingana, you will find that you continue having those tendencies that are pulling you backwards. But if you have realized that this thing might be part of what is eating you, then you stop blaming it on witchcraft and begin to realize there is something you can do about it. So that's where we begin. Number 2, deliberately start associating with positive people. I mentioned somewhere in the beginning that even though I was not going into the deep details of the making of mindset, but I broke it down for us. And I said, it starts with us collecting experiences. And we collect experiences from what I call the roots of mindset. And we collect those experiences from our upbringing, the things we witness at home. We collect them from our environment. That is the physical environment and the social environment. Our friends, what are they saying about money? What are they saying about wealth? Are they always crying about it? So if you have a pack of friends, every time you meet them, the default is that they're just complaining of how hard times are. Ukikutana na wao tu is just pity party. Some of them have that pity sound. You can help me bring it out well, but there's that sound that goes. You know those people. They've made it part of their vocabulary. When they want to speak something, they have to. Unajua, you know that one is a pity party statement or sound. Okay, if you've been surrounded by such people, they are the ones sending the signals I'm talking about because you're feeding from them. So if you keep meeting them and you keep hearing them saying, biashara ya mandazi haiwezi enda mahali. Every time, ukitaka kupoteza pesa, fungua biashara ya mandazi. And you see, you're collecting that, yet you had a brilliant idea of opening a mandazi cooking business. You will realize they start to affect your conclusions. They affect your beliefs on the mandazi business. They affect your attitude towards mandazi business. Eventually, they affect your actions about mandazi business, and you throw away the idea. Okay? So now deliberately begin to associate more with positive people. People who are speaking possibility. People who are saying it can be done. It is possible. People who can cheer you up when you tell them, by the way, wase, niko na idea ya kuuza smoky. Nimeonaona hii town, iko tu na ule mse mmoja ako huko mwisho. Hii pande ingine, hakuna mse anauza mandazi na smoky. You want to surround yourself with people who will say, by the way, inaweza. Go on. What does it need? Inawezekana. Now, that environment is an enabling environment. But if you surround yourself with an environment that is bringing down, shooting down every suggestion you have, then it is killing you quietly. And it will make you to keep embracing the poverty aspects of life instead of the wealthy aspects of life. So deliberately, I'm not saying you go tell your neighbors, your friends, coach told us today to end this friendship. But quietly, deliberately begin to select who you want to spend most of your time with, and let it be someone who speaks possibility, someone who can be able to energize you, someone that can be able to push you forward. Okay? That will be critical. Number 3, you may deliberately need to change your money vocabulary, the words you speak. Okay? Now, while our active mind will influence the words we speak, the words we speak is the first physical sign of what someone is thinking about. When someone opens their mouth and they tell you, wewe ni mjinga sana, out of the abundance of their system, the mouth has spoken. All right? It tells you what this person is thinking about you. Now, there is another effect of these words that is on the person speaking. And now, the words you speak also go to affect the subconscious mind. The mind that helps you do things almost in default. Okay? And that is the one that comes to largely affect the active one, and eventually get to affect your actions. So if you got used to, uliingia mahali ukapata everyone likes saying hakuna pesa, hata wewe ukasema, by the way, wacha tu niwajoin, without knowing, ukaanza kusema pia wewe hakuna pesa, pesa ni ngumu, biashara ni ngumu, mtu asikudanganye, biashara ni ngumu. By the way, sometimes I bust some of those people who will keep saying biashara ni ngumu. Then I ask them, but how many businesses have you run? You will be shocked. Many of them have not run any business. But their mouth is saying, biashara ni ngumu, biashara ni ngumu. They just joined the vocabulary. They made it their usual statements. And those statements went to affect their software. All right? And the software loaded that this person believes that biashara ni ngumu. So it reinforced it, cemented it. Okay? And the cycle became stronger. Your active thoughts stopped supporting business. And your mouth continues to reiterate that biashara ni ngumu. And so the system continues to strengthen itself. Kwamba huyu na biashara hawawezi kaa kwa WhatsApp group moja. I hope you're getting how these things get to affect us. Okay? So how to undo this? And that's what I'm addressing here at the point of growing a wealth mindset. We are starting to reverse the effects of the roots of mindset formation. Okay, part of the roots are the words we speak about ourselves and about money. Pesa haitoshi. Pesa yangu haitoshi. Haitoshi. The truth is, that statement looks very innocent. It might actually look very truthful, but it begins to be crippling, because when we start looking at your actions, we see actions that are saying there is nothing that you can do with your money because your money is very small. Okay, so deliberately begin to alter your vocabulary. You would actually do better remaining quiet. So start arresting yourself. When your mouth is about to say those negativities, we have been warned about the power of the tongue. So when your word is about to speak a negativity, it is better when you arrest it before it opens and speaks. That's how you start to work on your words. Okay? And for a long time, whenever I remember, I keep laughing at myself when I was working on myself. So I had to identify some of those crippling words, statements that I used to make. And so nikikuwa mahali and I want to say, you would see me wanting to say something alafu na nyamaza, and I wouldn't say. Even if you insist, I would not say, because I was beginning to train myself to begin to start embracing positivity. Okay? So please deliberately check your vocabulary. Number 4, count your blessings and be thankful. What a poverty mindset does to someone is that it makes you believe that you are useless, that there is nothing that is working in your life. Everything about you is backward. Everything about you has nothing good to say about. That's what a poverty mindset eventually reduces you to believe. The bottom line of a poverty mindset is, poverty is a connotation of lack. Okay? So poverty is largely associated with lack, kukosa. So it makes you feel hauna maana, hauna pesa, hauna umuhimu, hauna chochote, and everything that hauna can be accompanied with. Now, one of the ways of reversing the hauna lie is to deliberately begin to count your blessings. The truth is, you and I are blessed beyond what our eyes can see. So deliberately begin to count your blessings, what God has done for you as we speak. You will be so amazed that you have things that are actually working in your life. And we start with the basics, the gift of life. You and I are alive today. It is something to be thankful for. Okay? You and I, you have been able perhaps to go through school. There are other people who have not had the chance to find someone to power their schooling. That is something to thank God for. Perhaps you are able to feed. You are able to clothe. You have a sound mind. Please begin to find things in your life. Just create moments. I call it a gratitude, developing a gratitude attitude, where you take yourself through a gratitude exercise every often. Okay? And you're just listing things that are working in your life. I am alive. I am healthy. I am breathing well. I am not sick. I am able to feed. I am able to go to school, and so on. Okay? If you have some business, you have a business that you can thank God for, and so on. List those things. Form that habit periodically to just identify things that are working. If it can be daily, the better. As you're making your prayers every beginning of the day or every end of the day, you are thanking God for what is working. Now, what that will begin to do in your life quietly is to begin to reassure you that your life is not useless, that not everything in your life has failed to work. You have things that are working. Now that begins to grow your spirit into the positive side. And that is important when we want to confront a poverty mindset. Number 5, take responsibility of your actions. People who are pulled down by a poverty mindset will constantly look for the easiest excuse around, and that's why they blame it on others. Please, if you have been one of those who is constantly blaming things on others, you want to start taking responsibility. Where you know I have made a mistake, you want to say hapa enyewe nimeblanda. All right? And that gives you the opportunity to pick lessons from mistakes. In my other teachings, I like saying whenever a mistake has happened in your life, I like suggesting 3 things that you should do. Number 1, whenever something does not work, does not go right, the first question you ask yourself is, what is my role in this mistake? If that mistake affects you, chances are very high you have a role. If you are to be truthful, you have a role. So explain, what is your contribution to this mistake? If it is that uliingia class late, tell yourself, makosa yangu hapa ni kwamba mimi ndio nilikuja kama nimechelewa. Don't be quick to point fingers. Ati unajua kulikuwa na traffic, kulikuwa na sijui nini. First of all, truthfully tell yourself, mimi makosa yangu hapa ni hii. Question number 2, ask yourself, what lesson can I learn from this mistake? There is always a lesson in every mistake. The lesson could be that next time, itabidi niamke mapema. The lesson could be next time nitaset alarm. The lesson could be next time sitakula pesa yangu yote, nitasave kidogo. The lesson could be that next time sitafuata what everyone else was doing. I will stand by my decision, and so on. Okay? So it's important to start taking responsibility. Question number 3, whenever mistakes happen, that you must ask yourself is, what can I do next time so that this mistake does not repeat itself? What will I do next time so that this mistake does not repeat itself? That way, then you will be progressing. You will be moving forward. Please keep those 3 questions close to yourself. Number 6, embrace learning. And in this context, we are talking about learning about money, learning about business, learning about wealth. Embrace learning. It is said that people begin to die when they stop learning. Chances are high that a number of people have already died. They're just waiting for the formal confirmation because they stopped learning. And by the way, learning will not stop when you graduate from your academic learning. There is also the school of life. Okay? Like now what we are talking about here, we are in a school of life. These lessons may not be available in your academic spaces. Okay? But the school of life requires that we learn every single day. Now, when you are facing a poverty mindset, if you don't learn that it's a mindset, you will continue calling it witchcraft. You will continue calling it lack. You will continue calling it other things because you will not own up. But if you came to a session like this, you might go home beginning to realize, by the way, ni kama tu hivi vitu ni venye mimi nafikiria. It's not necessarily that I have been cursed. On Sunday, I was speaking to a group of alcoholics, a very strange group to encounter. Okay, because a good number of them were drunk when I was speaking to them. And we were just trying to have a conversation. It's an initiative through our church. I happen to be the chair of men in our church. I'm an Anglican. And we came up with an initiative of just trying to see if we can be able to reach out to the population that is struggling with alcoholism. And we tasked one of us who was struggling with alcoholism if he could help us lure some of the people he was drinking with to start coming to church. And that man has done a wonderful job. He had a gift we didn't see, we didn't know about. And he was able to fish. Now, that group, on Sunday, we had close to 25 of them. These are people who have now regularly started coming. So we meet them twice a month. Okay. So what we do is that we welcome them and then we make a meal for them. And then now, as we are having the meal, we have chance to begin to engage them, get to know them, have a fellowship with them, get to know what their biggest struggles are, and get to see which other interventions we can be able to put in place for them. So Sunday, I had chance to have a word with them. And one of them was saying, Chairman, mimi ninaitwa John. Na niliambiwa yule John ambaye niliitwa alikuwa pia mlevi sana. So mi nafikiria yule ulevi yangu ni kwa sababu tu ya yule John. Okay? Now, he forgot that minutes earlier, when I was just casually getting to know them, they had themselves introduced the explanation that they do not drink because they are enjoying. They drink because of, struggles here and there. And he was one of those who had initially started saying he decided to drink to just help forget some of his struggles. So we asked him, and even before I asked him, I loved what the fellow participants said when he mentioned that. And a good number of them refused his views. And they told him, wacha bwana. You can imagine now, these are drunkards, like 25 of them. and they're intoxicated, a good number. And so you can imagine how chaotic it wants to be. It's a very interesting ministry, that one. And I'm very keen to see how far we'll be able to take it. But I liked the fact that even in their intoxicated state, they were able to rise up and tell him, boss, we wacha bwana, wacha kuwekelea huyo John. Kwa sababu we mwenyewe umesema uliamua kwamba wakati umeface challenges ndio unaamua ukunywe usahau. Sasa huyo John ambaye alikufa zamani ametokea wapi? Well, of course, from those who dig deep into the spiritual spaces, we do not deny that there might be situations where we have intergenerational certain things, okay, which can be broken through prayer. But many of the challenges we face are easily answered by mindset before they are answered by those things of breaking and believing that it was a spiritual tie. And I left that meeting happy because a big number of those in the intoxicated state were actually able to tell him, boss, that is a mindset. Okay, that is a mindset. And so at some point we were asking him, na hizi shida ambazo zimekuleta kwa pombe, do you also have a recollection whether yule John wa kitambo pia alikuwa na struggle na hizo shida? Then we begin to realize, hata yule John wa kitambo ni kama hata alikuwa na pesa nyingi, hakuwa na shida za pesa. Sasa wewe una treat shida zako za pesa na kukunywa, and then you want to put it on the John that you are named after. Right? So please embrace learning. Read about money. Attend seminars about money. Okay? And you will realize that your horizon is beginning to widen. Your mind is beginning to expand. You're beginning to realize some things. Every time I attend a seminar, because I also keep learning, every time I read a book, it never leaves me the same way I was. So please, keep learning. Go through your academic learning for those that are still progressing, but also keep learning about life. Okay? So excel in your academic space, but also make sure even after you graduate, that learning has not ended there. You do not burn books and say, wewe na masomo mumemalizana. Mkutano ikiitwa unasema, hizi vitu za kusoma. Okay? The beauty about the School of Life is that it's a realistic school. We come to talk about things as they are on the ground, not as they are in a textbook. Lastly, number 7. One of the ways of dealing with a poverty mindset is to develop a mental picture of your future dream. Okay? We have said that a poverty mindset makes you not want to love the future, to love looking forward. You just want to live in the now. So one of the ways of dealing with it is to try and build a brighter future in your head. To try and tell yourself, if, for example, you're starting business and you're telling yourself, I would want to see this business become a wholesale in the next X number of years. That's a picture you're creating. Okay? And I want to encourage you to create those pictures in your head. Paint some picture of your future dream. What kind of life would you want to see? And we are talking about it from a financial perspective. How would you want your money life to be in future? Okay? Would you want to see yourself being the CEO of some place? Would you want to see yourself owning a big business somewhere? Would you want to see yourself being an influencer in a certain space? Try to visualize a bigger version of where you currently are, a bigger version of where you're going, a positive version of where you're going. Now, I came to realize that picture is usually very powerful. I remember when I was leaving the bank to come into this business space, before I left, when I had just accepted that God has given me this gift and I need to further it, because I used to fight this gift, largely because I used not to believe that speaking can actually pay your bills. So I never used to take it serious. But every indication from everywhere I have been was pointing me back to that space. So many people would be telling me, and including customers in the bank, they would come, I serve them, and they tell me, you are misplaced. You need to be helping people. You need to be speaking in the public. You need to be a lecturer. You need to be a politician. You speak so well everyone kept haunting me with that reality that I am not where I am supposed to be. Until one day I accepted. Because people kept coming, including colleagues. They would come whenever they have challenges at home. And random people who would just be booking appointments and coming to my office to just share. I am going through this challenge. How can I deal with it? I am going through this. I keep telling people, the first time a marital problem was brought to me, I was in Form 3. I was not married. A mzee brought a marital problem to me. That mzee was the age mate and friend of my father. He did not go to my father. He came to me. Why he chose me, I have no clue. He knew I wasn't married. He knew I was a student. And he told me what he was struggling with his wife. I don't remember exactly what I told him, but I know I fumbled a few words. Later on, schools closed, I went back home. Opened, I went back home. When schools closed, I traveled back to the city where my father was. And that man came and told me that I helped him very much that other time. So there were those things that were happening in my life to remind me that there was a bigger place I needed to be. So when I finally said yes to the call, I developed a picture. I could see myself speaking to tens of thousands of people. I could see myself occupying very big platforms in future, speaking to people and people listening and people taking notes. And those pictures kept moving in my head. They are still there, even now. Some of them I have not achieved, some I have achieved. And I remember when I would tell my colleagues that one day I will leave, many of them would not understand. And I would actually tell them, hauwezi elewa, because I am the only one who is seeing those pictures. And so those pictures kept driving me. And whenever I have chance to do whatever I'm doing, I like saying I am planting a seed, because experience has taught me in the nature of my business that every place I have ever been, it was a seed I was planting. I don't know when it will germinate, when it will grow into fruits, because sometimes I get calls that baffle me. You receive a call, someone is saying you spoke to them 8 years ago, 10 years ago, and now they are calling you for a bigger job today. You have forgotten about them. You don't even remember. They tell you there's a school you came to, you spoke to our children during Parents' Day, and I was there. My son who was in that school, finished school, is now working somewhere, and so on. But now I was in a place where they're looking for a speaker about money, and I felt you should be the one to do this. So now the seeds that were planted those 10 years back have come to materialize 10 years later. All right. So those pictures have been very powerful in my own life, because they keep pulling me and they keep me focused. Because every time I want to relax, I remind myself that I have a bigger dream to achieve. May God help you that you can also be able to develop those pictures in your own life. I want to finish by just giving us a few random money tips. I know next week we will now delve deeper into where we can be able to get money and also get a few more other tips. But when it comes to money, allow me to remind you that we start the conversation of money management by thinking about income, because you cannot manage what you don't have. Okay? And even you as a student, as you think about managing money, first of all, you have to tell yourself what your income sources are or will be. Where will you be getting money? If it is pocket money that someone has given you, if it will be help for those that will utilize help, and if it will be a side hustle, you have to think about what income will mean for you and where it will come from. Okay? You also then need to think about spending your money with a plan, budgeting before you spend. It's very important. If you spend your money without a plan, it tends to do very little for you. It does fewer things, okay, because you're spending it randomly. And you find yourself in a crisis very often. You find your money getting finished before it does important things, because you're spending it blindly without a plan. So please embrace the reality of planning before you begin to spend. Now, when you have decided to spend and to save, because it's important that you save money, not to eat everything. If you decide to save, please save before you spend. Save before you spend. In the world of wealth creation, saving is what gives us the seed. Then investing is what gives us the harvest. So saving allows us to keep some money that can become a seed, which can help you open that smoky business, which then begins to give you profit, which is your harvest, for example. Please remember, there is no small money. Why I'm saying this is so that you do not ever despise any income that comes your way. Whatever you will do, there is something you will do that will give you 100 shillings, 10 shillings, 1,000 shillings. Do not ever look down upon any money. When you will decide to save money, sometimes you might start by saving 50 shillings, 20 shillings. Do not despise it. 50 shillings will soon turn into 500 shillings after 10 cycles. Will soon turn into 1,000 shillings after 20 cycles. All right? So please do not forget that there is no small money. Please avoid lifestyle pressure. As young people, there will be a lot of lifestyle pressure out here. Social media has not made it any better for us. Social media has its positive sides and negative sides. The negative sides will put a lot of pressure on you. There are very many people out here who are in the business of make-believe, who are in the business of making you believe that you indeed, your life is not moving. They make you believe that you are not doing much. They make you believe that you are a failure if you look at the kind of lifestyle that they are portraying on social media. I have had chance to interact with some of those celebrities that we encounter on social media. And if you look at the true life they live, then you will realize you should never be pressurized by them. I have had chance to visit some of those celebrities in their homes, in their houses. And I know for sure what you see on social media is nothing closer to what is on the ground. Please do not succumb to the pressure of social media so that you start living a fake life, a life that you cannot sustain. You start living beyond your means because of this pressure. Please be careful. Okay, I have to caution you from a realistic perspective, because I know some of them, it is that which gives them the likes and the views so that they can be able to earn. So wako job na wewe unafikiria hiyo ndio life yao. You will be so shocked that many of them are actually struggling. Indeed, some of you have seen some of them coming ndio wafanyiwe michango when they have a small challenge in their life. You have seen that. So if indeed it was true, the kind of life they were living, if it was true, many people are left wondering, na hiyo pesa yote amekuwa akituonyesha pay bill ya kuchangisha ni ya? Okay? So please do not forget that. Just be your own person on your journey. It is only you who knows where you came from. It is only you who knows the background you're working hard to change. It is only you who knows where you want to go. Please do not succumb to the lifestyle pressure that social media will give you. Okay? Please don't. Please remember that you are not disadvantaged. You are positioned to rise. Every time you find yourself in a lower position, it's a reminder that you have a bigger room going upwards. Please commit to rising. Your background, however tattered and tainted it might look, it only explains you. Please do not allow it to excuse you. Don't make it your excuse that I am the way I am because kwetu hatukuenda shule kubwa. Niko hivi kwa sababu wazazi wangu hawakukuwa na ng'ombe, wazazi wangu hawakuwa na mali, hawakunipea shamba, hawakunipea ng'ombe. That is fine. They didn't give you. That is explaining you, where you came from. But please do not hold it as an excuse. Because whenever you embrace excuses, you stop taking action. And we have agreed from the beginning that results only come from actions. Please remember also that your future is not decided by where you are coming from, but by the decisions you make today and every day. Do not forget. Please remember that if you cannot manage small money today, you will have trouble managing big money any other time. You might be looking down upon your money today, whichever it is, whether it is pocket money or whatever it is. Please don't think that if you are given big, you will miraculously now know how to handle money well. Lastly, remember that saving is not about the amount, it's about the habit. The habit. Consistency is very important. It's very important. Lastly, please change your mindset and the results will follow. We are agreeing from this call that mindsets can be changed. They can be changed because they have largely been influenced by what has been happening around us. If we are able to tamper with what is happening around us and deliberately begin to alter the attitudes that we have, we will definitely work on our mindsets. May God help us that we may commit to being positive, to stop blaming, and to own our journeys, and to be set for financial growth. Because I want to see you doing better financially. I want to see you doing better in your businesses. I want to see you doing better in your jobs. I want you to be the next Bill-ups that when we look at the future of the compassions of this world, we will see you occupying those positions because you believed that the poverty mindset was not going to arrest you forever. Good people, as I always say, you can do better. You can do better. Allow me to just very quickly just look at what you are saying. Thank you so much. Many of you are expressing kind words towards this session. It's been good for self-assessment, very healthy session. Remember to share the recording. It has come timely, really educative.